Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mubin Malik, and in this question I have to make a vending machine. Basically it's a sequential circuit and that will be operating on the basic principles of a vending machine. Now what this vending machine has to do is that it has to give out the output as a candy and a change, which means that if there are 15 cents in the machine, then it should give out a candy. But if there are any more than 15 cents, then the machine should give out the candy as well as the extra money that's in there. So this is the block diagram, and these nickels and dimes, and another important part of this machine is that it accepts the input as nickels and dimes. Nickel is 5 cents and a dime is 10 cents, and the outputs are Q is represented by candy and X represents the change. Now if I would explain state diagram to you, these are the three states. These three states are defined as shown here. S0 is no cents, S1 is 5 cents, S2 is 10 cents, which means that a machine can be in these three states at a time, any of these three states at a time. Now the outputs and the inputs have this notation. Above the hyphen, nickel and dimes are represented. This first bit represents the candy and the second represents the change. Now in the first state, when there are no cents in the machine, if I don't put anything, neither it's a nickel or a dime, the machine remains in this state. If I put a nickel in this state, then the machine goes into the state 2, which basically is the 5 cent state. Now after we are in the state 2, which is S1, if I put nothing in there, then the machine remains in its original state, which is S1. But if I put a nickel again, then the machine goes into a state where there are 10 cents in it. Now after there are 10 cents in the machine, if I put a nickel again, then the target of 15 cents in the machine is completed, and the machine gives the output as a candy right here, as you can see, and returns back to the state S0. Now if we talk about the dimes, if I put a nickel to make the machine go from state 0 to state 1, then after I put a dime in it, as you can see, the machine returns back to state 0 because a nickel and a dime makes 15 cents. So the candy output becomes 1 and the machine returns to its original state of 0 cents. Now if I put 2 dimes in it, the first makes it go directly to the stage 3, which is represented as 2. I have mistakenly written it as S3 here. This basically is S2. And if again I put a dime in it, then the total cents become 20. Now at 20 cents, what machine has to do is it has to return 5 cents or a nickel as a change and a candy as well. So you can see here, if I put a dime, then 1 means there will be a candy output and a change output as well. So this is the state diagram. Now using that state diagram, I have made this truth table. This is basically the state table in which the present states are written here and the next states are written here. Now after that, I have used the K-maps to solve this equation, and the equation have been solved for basically the input for the first flip-flop and the input for the second flip-flop, and these are the equations for the outputs. So I have written the equations right here. Now using these equations, I have made the circuit in Proteus. As you can see right here, this is the circuit of that vending machine. Now if I simulate it for you, it is already running. So how it works is basically, if these flip-flops are working on a clock cycle, so if I put a nickel in there, at first second it gets an input of a single nickel, and at the second second it takes another nickel. But at the third second, this output Q becomes 1, and the input count of the machine becomes 0, as there are no cents in this machine. This basically works at a clock cycle of 1 hertz. So after 3 hertz, there is an output right here. Now if I turn the nickel off and turn the dime on, then the change and the candy output both become 1, because after 2 after 2 hertz or 2 seconds, then the output at the candy and the change both become 1, as we have seen in the above state table. So this was the circuit of the vending machine. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.